What's going on, everyone? I am so excited to bring you the new event quest, Subservience, based on Marvel's Thor, Love, and Thunder. Oh my goodness, man. I know this is a little bit late, but this event quest really wasn't really had anything super thing, like I want to rush and get it out. So I've kind of left on the back burner, and I've watched Thor, Love, and Thunder. I love the movie. Had its faults, it is what it is. About it, I would have loved it if it was longer, but I loved Gore, man. Gore was my favorite part of the movie, and even with Kabam, when they do events based off the movies, like we had obviously Doctor Strange Madness in the Multiverse, it was nothing to do with Multiverse of Madness. Like, it really is Kabam doing their own stories based with the characters in the movie. Like, that's basically what it is. And sometimes you get some really awesome storytelling. Sometimes it doesn't pan out. I mean, it is like ups and downs with the event quest, I've always said. This one is a little bit of a down for me personally, just because I love the source material of Gore. It is one of my favorite Marvel comics. I mean, just for the villain itself and just the stakes that are in it. I mean, you've had like mcoc in the past playing gods of all the pantheons, and then Gore does the same thing, and you're like, okay, this has kind of been done before, but then you do it in such a unique way with Thor plus Thor against Gore. I'm like, what the hell is that? And you read it, and it's like, oh my god, this is amazing. I mean, he's slaying gods left and right, and he loses. Thor loses quite a lot in the story. I mean, like, you're telling me one of the most powerful beings loses, and that's something that makes it so real. And maybe it was a little bit lacking from the movie as well. I don't want to press too much in the movie, but it's just, I love the source material. Now, for Gore, I'll explain a little bit of backstory of how he got the Necro Sword. So obviously, he lost his family. They were praying for help because they were dying. It's what happened is the gods didn't care. That's what starts his vengeance against the gods, because they didn't help save his family. And what happens is he comes across Null, the symbiote god, or Null, the symbiote elder, I guess what he is in contest. And he sees this. They're both defeated. I mean, one dies, and Null's there just incapacitated. And then the Necro Sword chooses Gore as his next wielder. Now, the Necro Sword is a little bit strange because it has so many different variants. I mean, All Black itself has a name. Then the Necro Sword has also, there's different versions of the Necro Sword. But for the All Black itself, All Black on the left, Gore, Necro Sword. From Hela, Loki, then we have Null from in-game as well as the comics, and then we have Gore in the movie. So quite strange that there's different designs, but in the essence, it's all the same. All right, so this event is also a low for me because it starts off with Gore defeated. It's strange. Like, he's basically a prisoner the entire event quest, and it's really just escorting him through Asgard as a bunch of stuff is happening. So, like, when you look at the source material, I would have loved it if it started with Gore just demolishing the pantheons in the contest, or even the elders. I really thought the elders were gonna play when they made Null an elder instead of a god. I was like, okay, well, the elders are actually older than the gods in the game, so maybe the elders, if Gore's gonna be mad at anyone, he's gonna be mad at the oldest people in the universe that could absolutely help him and help make the universe a better place, and if not the battle realm a better place. And the elders only care about themselves. Like, they're just like the gods. They are super selfish, and I really thought that was going to play into this event because we have the champion, we have the grandmaster, we have the collector, we have Karina, who is the only really good elder, and we've had the trader from Marvel Realm of Champions, who kind of cares about himself as well. You also have tons of other elders that have been in the battle, like even from the Conscious Champions comic books, from the Marvel Realm Champions. Like, you had a lot of different things, and you also have other gods as well that we haven't really seen. We've had different, we haven't had too many gods besides a few of the Greeks, or mostly Hercules in the contest, and mostly Asgardians. But, it's pretty cool, and I would have loved to see that too. And another thing is, like, we have Marvel Realm Champions with we have War Thor, that version of War Thor coming in with her whole Asgardian team would have been cool too, but I guess we're getting Emrock a little bit later down. Anyways, so let's get back to the story before I go on a tangent, right? All right, look, okay, so Valkyrie starts, so they have like this interesting dynamic. As I said, it's kind of like an escort between, it's Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, and Valkyrie and us, the summoner, escorting Gore through Asgard as different things are happening. And Valkyrie's like, if it was up to me, I'm just gonna slice his throat. Like like she is like really like cutthroat. I mean, you know, she has a cutlass, right? You know, she loves her weapons, right? She wants to use them. So and which I like this too, is like they have this dynamic. And Jane's like, thanks very much for knowing this. We'll keep you in check. So she's really like, she's human. She has that humanity aspect to her that she, you know, people deserve to live and people deserve to be punished for their crimes in not a such cutthroat way of like, you deserve death. Like, here you go. No, you deserve to pay penance for your punishment, right? So this is really cool. Like, she wants to make sure that Gore gets his punishment, and it's not death. It's far worse, right? Which I agree with. And I do like this dynamic because it's her human side that she doesn't want Valkyrie just to end it right there. She's gonna protect Gore because it's the right thing to do, so he can serve his punishment. And Gore as well. Oh, Marvel Studios is having I think a San Diego Comic-Con, so my phone is gonna, let me put that on mute. And so taking me to Homeworld. So Gore as well is my favorite part of the movie, the comic, and this as well. I mean, Gore, I love this because he's just like, I've seen it in some different television shows and movies. Like when like the villain is like captured, he just is playing with his captors. Like he's just antagonizing them, and it's actually kind of funny. Like he's just like, like, you know, take me to your Homeworld. That's a bold movie, even for people who think they are in control. Like he's just messing with her, like saying like, you don't really understand what's happening, right? Like you're serving the wrong people, and it's really cool. But Valkyrie's not having anything. She's like, shut your gob. No one's talking to you. Like, it's pretty funny because he's like, I'm trying to mess with her, and she's like, shut up. Like, no one asked you. All right, so, you know, Jane's, like I said, she's explaining, you know, it's the right thing to do to escort him. He's saying thousands of gods. Like, are you kidding me? That is what I like to see. Like, he's slaying thousands of gods. Like, he should be a threat. So that's why I'm a little confused, like how he got defeated so easily. But like I wanted to see him rampaging through the battle realm as chaos is happening, because we know like Galactus is in the battle realm as well as his variants. Like, I mean, if anything, is the most chaotic part of the game ever in all of time. And Gore on top of that is just completely madness. Like, it's really cool to see. So we found him skulking. So like I said, they found him skulking around Asgard, and they took him out, and now they're escorting through. And so yeah, so we ambushed him, took him, and disarmed him of that wretched sword he had. We'll be taking it to Odin's vault for safekeeping. So again, like, you know, on the Necro sword, which is also another thing I don't like about this event quest is Gore doesn't have the Necro sword. So like you said, you're missing that action from that, which is a little bit strange when you have Gore as the villain. And I'm a little bit confused me. All right. So he knew he was outmatched, and one side is a force of nature, personified in Asgard form, and on the other Thor. Keep talking, girl. If I didn't have these chains, you wouldn't be so smug. Knock it off, Valkyrie. Keep Gore on a tight leash until we get to Asgard. I'm tired of hearing from him. Fair enough. I just love that he's just talking his mouth off. Why do you care how I end up? Do you want to give the satisfaction enemy to Odin, or do you want to do it yourself? Do you serve Asgard as a pawn, or you were on person? Like, still like just trying to like put in like picking at the cracks. I just like that. That's very interesting. So an explosion echoes across the horizon. The sparkling marble buildings, serene cafes, calm lakes, bustling amphitheater erupt in smoke. Above, they see the glowing eyes of Galactus. Hell to the yeah, man. Galactus, we've had tons of events this year, ever since February. You know, you had Galactus enter the battle realm, and he is just laying a wake of destruction. And when we got this event announced in January this year, it's kind of said Galactus was a little bit of a thing going to be happening. So it is here. Galactus is here, and in Asgard. So he's made its way from Hell's Kitchen all the way to Asgard. I mean, I just cannot wait until next month for August, because that's going to be a real big month. I'm really excited for that. We'll talk about that later. All right, let's not panic. We can take the sack of filth away from Asgard. I have a ship on the far side of the city, so we're escorting him all the way somewhere else. And this is pretty cool. So we have Red Goblin out of nowhere. Like I said, you know, not from the movie, of course. He said, "Hand it over. You stole it from him." Yeah, I can't really do an Osborn, the Red Goblin, but he's like, "Not you, Gore. He took Null's weapon. He took the all-black, the Necro sword. I'm gonna take them both back to Null for judgment." Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. But it would have been. I would have loved it if he was like crackling, like, because he like he's like a smoke. Like he throws his symbiote bombs down, and that's what he says. So it's pretty cool. I mean, like I said, you have Null, the Necro Sword, which Null has in his own kit, the Necro Sword, the red sword, which was originally black then red. So you have all these different versions, but in this version, he's saying Gore took it from Null, which happened in the comics, but in the game, it's quite like it's so interesting. Like, how does this work? Like, did he take it because he slayed thousands of gods? So he had the Necro Sword before he joined the Battle Realm, but then we also have Null in the Battle Realm with his own Necro Sword. So it's like, what is happening? Like, how does that correlate? We don't really find out, which is kind of sad. But then again, we have Red Goblin, which if you don't understand why it's Red Goblin, he's leading the symbiotes. He's the one who we had like Red Carnage or Dark Carnage in the comics awaken Null, but in the Battle Realm it was actually Red Goblin leading the symbiotes. We had Symbiote Supreme do it, and then we had Red Goblin kind of take it over once we defeated Symbiote Supreme. So it was really cool. Like, we have the storylines built up, if you remember that from October's event last year, which was still my greatest event. Oh my god, it was so cool. But anyways, hey Thor, not the time to be stopping. I want Gore off this rock. But the chaos, nobody's coordinating the evacuation. So we had this in February with Sam Wilson, is that they coordinated the evacuation from Hell's Kitchen, and it seems like Asgard that's not happening. But Valkyrie is like, no, Odinson and the others will take care of it. So Odinson is another thing. Is Odinson? You're like, oh, if you don't know who is Odinson, well, Thor Odinson, because in the comics, Mighty Thor became Thor, and she took the mantle of Thor. Thor gave it to Thor, and Thor became Odinson. So he went by his own name, or his half of his name, the last name, and he gave Thor the full mantle of Thor. So you have Thor, Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, and then you have Odinson, who was Thor, or is Thor. It's a little bit confusing. To me, I always call them Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, and then Thor, but Thor Odinson as well. So, just so no one's confused, all right, hopefully I didn't confuse everyone. So interesting, we see Odin's illusion, Illusius vaults. Riches hidden underground, just below the serene people of Asgard. And Valkyrie's like, did I ask you to speak? Alright, tell me one thing, is this the Asgard you fight for? Because it doesn't reflect you. Perhaps you should leave this place behind to burn and find a new home. Is that Ragnarok, right? Because that's exactly what happened in Ragnarok. They let Surtur loose, which we have in the contest too. Is like, Surtur absolutely has never been in the contest events, dialogue, or anything. It's just a map that came out a year after Ragnarok did. So it's so disappointing too, because you have like the story, you have Ragnarok that happens in the movie, like Thor 4 is really a sequel to Thor 3 Ragnarok, and Ragnarok never happened in the contest. Like, it's strange, because we had like Red Skull, we had Hela, then really it was more of a Thanos and collecting the Infinity Stones. So because she gave him the Death Stone. So that's what the story was for Ragnarok in the contest. So we never actually had Surtur, and it's kind of cool. Like, that's like a little reference to Ragnarok. All right, fighting for Asgard means fighting for the people. And like I said, Mighty Thor is so cool. Like, she has that humanity aspect. Like, it's a human becoming a god. I mean, you had that with Hercules from Greek mythology, and you've had that from different also mythologies. And it's so cool. Like, I love it that she's like fighting for, not for Odin's riches, but because it's the right thing to do. That's what a hero should do, and I really like that they pay off what our character is. All right, so this is what you gods do: protect the riches. So we find Loki, who apparently is like, Odin asked me to, take care of the treasure. Yeah, funny him. He's trying to steal all the treasure. So we defeat Loki, and we defeat him, and we come across this corner stores and businesses, and Jane says, remember the restaurant celebrating victories with the Warriors, 3 drinks with Lady Sif. A Lady Sif reference. Okay, I hope that's a payoff soon, because we haven't really had a Lady Sif reference, or any of the other Asgardians. Like we've had Bor, we've had a few of the Asgardians mentioned before. Even Kabam Gabe said, hey, I would love to do a good version of them, but Lady Sif has not been one yet, and I would love it to pay off. I mean, it's really cool, and she says dates with Odinson too, which is nice. And they say Bjorn's Bar and Grill, awful barbecue, gave me food poisoning, which I actually looked up is actually a thing in the Philippines, so it's pretty funny. Scandinavian food. All right, so Gore's not wrong. I've seen the faults of the gods. Like you said, Gore hates the gods because they're selfish. They didn't help his family. They don't help them as well. Got that in the movie and the comics. And Valkyrie's like, yeah, like I've seen that firsthand. We saw that in the movie. That Odin and Hela were on a conquest, and then Hela got too out of control, and uh, Odin sent all the Valkyries, and they all died but her. Like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty sad. All right, so Hela shows up, which is kind of interesting, right? So Hela, I'm giving you a chance, holding Valkyrie back. Come quietly. Maybe your father will go easy on. That's your threat. Cute. I've been larger. I've seen larger teeth on a puppy summoner. Valkyrie to care to dance with the goddess of death. Oh my goodness, man! Like, it's like a stab, and that's like a big stab at her character from the movie. All right, so you defeat Hela, which was still cool to see. Like, I like that they're building a little bit on Ragnarok, paying it off. But it's just still an escort mission. You know, we're getting back to Gore's story. You fight for those values like mine over those above. I bet you these prisoners got first patches off Rhoda, just like I'm about to receive. That's fair. You never thought I'd see you fighting for people like me. That almost divine of you. Never saw yourself fighting for gods or heroes like Thor. They only care about making examples, people like me, rather than saving the people of Asgard. Valkyrie punches Gore. Like, I feel like that's pretty cool storytelling. Like, you can, and then he like holding him like he's defeated. So I like that. It's really good storytelling right there. Face it, Valkyrie, aren't you better than anyone here? You're just like the rest of them. You think it's fair for them to suffer while everyone else runs. Nobody deserves to die afraid and abandoned in the dark. We might see eye to eye about saving innocent people, but I draw the line at murderers and marauders getting seats on a lifeboat over the women and the children. This is why I stopped serving Asgard. They change their minds whenever it's convenient, whenever it's Odin's whim. These people of Asgard deserve a life of peace. Yeah, she's very cutthroat. You know, she doesn't want. The villains don't deserve an arc to redeem themselves. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. You know, villains we've seen in Marvel, like a lot of them do redeem themselves, and it's a wonder if these, I don't know who are in the dungeons really, because you know Asgard is a place we don't have too much in knowing what happens, who's in the dungeons. We knew the dungeons were a thing because we had Mangog, but that's about it. Like, that's interesting. I wonder who they have. I mean, I still want to see the Destroyer armor. Like, there's so much Asgard, and especially I can't wait until the Emrock characters with War Thor. The Destroyer armor was part of that. Lots of it. Like, it's so cool. I would love to see it. So, just talking about it. Let's skip going. More the Gore Preves. So yeah, she's just like, man, I want to get this over with. You know what you're doing? Thinking, don't you dare release him. You have a coat. So yeah, Jane just wants to release him. Like, I'm like, that's a little interesting. I'm not a good Val. I know right here from the wrong, and I don't shy away from its inconvenience. It is pretty funny. Jane Foster, Goddess of Irony, a fitting title for you. Like, dude, it's so like, oh my goodness, it's pretty funny. All right, I'm going to release you, and you're going to have two options: leave Asgard and never come back, or stay here and perish. Choose wisely, Mangog. Yeah, so this is we find Mangog because Mangog, obviously, when Odin came in the game last year, and I think he was in another event. I can't remember for sure, but this is who she's talking about. Like, she's releasing Mangog, but she's not releasing Gore. Even though Mangog is literally everything, like all the hates and Odin's sin. It's really like that was like the father's sins event, and the sin of all the people Odin murdered and the hate that they felt for Odin is what Mangog is. So it's pretty interesting that she might set free him. All right, so they let go she lets go Mangog, and Mangog just attacks her, and that's why we defeat him. So anyways, we're on the last part. All right, they're greeted by pillars of smoke, crowds desperate to find safety from Glytis Might. They arrive near the warehouse district, near the shipping docks, bustling with livestock, which is really cool because this reminds me of the movie where they're at in Norway, so I like that. All right, my ship is right around the corner. We get to the dump Gore on some rock, and then we're coming back to save as many people as we can. I'll buy you as much time as I can, but we need to get Gore off here first. All right, as the smoke dissipates, the ship of Valkyrie expects, and now a twisted wreck of molten son of a... Yeah. You never thought a contest would curse, eh? It's funny. It's like, we have no way off this rock. People are dying out there. I don't want to spend any more time with this monster. Yeah, so she's like, Thor's like, we gotta go back to the palace and see if we can find a way. All right, what have come across him that we can't handle? That big boy hits and throws him off the direction. Can't reach all this. Nothing. So she's like, I'm fed up. Like, I just want to kill Gore. I'm tired of this. Like, everything just is keep getting worse. So I'm sorry, Thor, but I'm vetoing your power here and I'm killing him. And Gore's just laughing maniacally, like oh my god, I just love that. Like, it honestly fits his character in the movie, like, as well as the comics. Like, that's really good storytelling right there. All right, unlike Thor, I haven't been influenced by this idiot. You are too naive to make a hard decision. Exactly, Valkyrie. Do things Thor is too afraid of. He wants to die too. It's so interesting. Like, it's yeah, like, it's really interesting. Like, is he doing this because he, I don't know, like, what does he want? Does he want to die because he does feel bad for everything that he's done, or does he want to take advantage of that situation? Does he want to drive? drive cracks through the relationship, and maybe he can use the chaos to get out. All right, it's not about who deserves to die, it's about who we can save. Maybe you're right, and the worst wretches don't deserve to see daylight, but I'm not going to make the call to snuff them out entirely unless I absolutely have to. Gore may have never pay fully for what he's done, but you're letting him off easy with quick death and turn to consequence. Stand down and help ensure they joins Vanguard and Asgardian in jail for eternity. Eternity. Thor, where are my daggers? Missing something. Yeah, so they had like a little toss-up, and he steals her daggers. So it's interesting because she has, apparently they said they confiscated All Black, but they didn't say where they put it. So what happens is she loses like her weapons, but I guess All Black isn't part of them, and he picks up Valkyrie's weapons instead of All Black. So I don't know where All Black is in the story. They kind of like don't mention it. They mention they confiscated it, and they don't mention where they put it. And then Red Goblin's like, hey, where is it? Like, I need to take it back. And it's just not here in the story, which is confusing. A little bit of a confusing storytelling right there, not gonna lie. But anyway, Gore just has the knives, and he's just maniacally like he cuts himself free and is just laughing. I just love that. I like him in the movie. Like, he does laugh a bit. He picks up his sword. All right, he picks up his sword. He jumps with America's power and okay. So he does pick up his sword and begins to sprint towards the royal palace as the cap. So he's going for Odinson. So he has the knives, and then he picks up his sword afterwards. So it's, like I said, it's a weird storytelling. Like, why does he pick up Valkyrie's weapon stop to get, so he's powerless, and so she's powerless, or she's weaponless, and then takes his own sword. It's confusing. All right, as Gore found himself on the bridge towards the royal palace, he grips the sword and walks towards the entrance, but he stopped as Thor stops in front of him. Valkyrie and the summoner lands behind him, flanking him. Pretty cool. All right, you know, we don't really see what happens right here, but we're told what happens. And as Thor stops in front, okay, so it's so because when I see Thor, I still like say I think Mighty Thor. I'm still not used to Thor, like Mighty Thor, Jane Foster being Thor. It's as the name or being referred to it. It's confusing sometimes when you storytelling when you have Thor Ragnarok. Now we have had Thor, Jane Foster. And it gets a little bit confusing sometimes. You can't honestly believe that the likes of Odin and Thor are beyond punishment for their hubris, for their arrogance and self-indulgence. Odin and Thor are beyond reproach, but they get the same chance as you to redeem themselves. And right now, they're fighting for Galactus. They're fighting Galactus to save their own people. And I'd love to see, because if you don't know, Thor, Odin's son, becomes a Herald of Galactus. I said I wanted him to be the final Herald to come to the game. I think it's Quicksilver, but I would love to see the Herald of Galactus Thor. It's one of my another favorite story of mine. All right, so big words from a saint. Doubt you'll live to see it through. So we defeat Gore. It's just like, I like this. Like, just like, he's not a person where can we kill him now? It's really they do these characters really well. Like, even though it's not like as badass and as action packed as the comics, it's still the people writing this. You did a good job because I feel like these are the MCU characters as well as the comic characters combined in storytelling of these characters in the game. Like, it's really good storytelling from how, like, you can tell Kabam pay love to the comics of the characters and what they represent as well as the movies. Like, it is really good. All right, so Thor, where do we take him now? We can take one of the evacuation shuttles if we need to. Well, when they say evacuation shuttles, I wonder if they just mean the flying, like when Valkyrie said her ship as well. It's just the flying ships that we saw in Thor 4 and as well as Thor 2. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. All right, so drop him off somewhere isolated, maybe an asteroid somewhere out there. Not out there, especially if we're watching him. There's nobody for him to hurt beside himself. It's almost like the Infinity Watch, right? Where they have to watch the stones and make sure nothing happens. And this is like a Gore watch, really. Hey, Valkyrie's like, good. But then the ground shakes below their feet. Valkyrie and Jane look up and they see Galactus' glowing eyes. An eruption of force from below sends them out into the air beyond the royal palace. Gore is sent careening into the sky, deep in the battle realm. The last thing they hear is a distant cackle from Gore, the God Butcher, hurling away. Now that is the end of the event. It was, it still was a good event. I like this. For what it is. Gore still, I love Gore, dude. The Gore the God Butcher is pretty good. And he killed thousands of gods. Like, I mean, if you're not gonna say he deserves the God Butcher title, he deserves it. And it was really cool. You're missing Thor and Korg from the story, for Thor Odin's son and Korg from the story. You didn't have Hercules. Like it could have played into the little bit of the Greek pantheon, but it still is really cool. Like, I do thoroughly enjoy reading this event. I still love the comics, and I still like the movie. So yeah, what did you guys think? Did you like it? Are you excited? I mean, next month is gonna be Galactus. Like next month is a Galactus event, and I'm gonna be over the moon for that event. So stay tuned for that. I'm also gonna have the Act 1-2 dialogue coming pretty soon. It's pretty exciting to get that done finally. And yeah, man, I'm really excited for the future of the contest. It's gonna be really fun, enjoyable, and yeah. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.